Okay, so if Jakar is going to invade there, then we have to have like 20 missions for the players to get through. Then the eggs are like another 20 missions, and then, oh my goodness, that's 40 missions. Then we need to introduce the NPCs, and that's another 20, like 30 missions. I don't know how many missions that is. I mean, I don't even know where should we start. I don't know how many we're going to have to. I'm just going to be planning adventures forever, and I don't even know where my campaign is going to start. And I think that it's all just too much. And you know what? I think we should it's just over. It's done. There's too much to do, and I don't even know where to start. It's just done. It's over. It's done. I'm not a GM. I give up. I'm just a player. I'm leaving. I'm going to go and play sport. I'm not even going to do this anymore because there's just too much to think about. I don't even know where to start. It's just all over the place. And I'm going to do it's too much. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Campaign Creator Series. My name is Guy the Panicked. No. My name is Guy, and today we're looking at the very first step that you need to take in order to actually work out your entire campaign. And let me tell you, this step, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the most integral, one of the most important, one of the most crucial, and as a matter of fact, the only real step that you need to take in terms of creating your entire campaign. We finally got there. We are now going to plot out everything. Just everything from start to finish and back around again. Everything. Now, it's not as intimidating as you might think. As a matter of fact, it's incredibly simple. So what we need to do first is I'm going to just pop myself down here and let's turn on that. We're in World Anvil. World Anvil, our choice of world aggregator, content generation, and the like. You can see this is our landing page for Uther's Dragons, which is the campaign that we've been making throughout this campaign series. You obviously will have your own. It's always good to refer back to our sentence. Jakar wants the hegemony of Utherios before the next planetary alignment, but is having difficulty taking it over using vast Slard forces, because the protectors of Utherios are exceptionally powerful. And why does Jakar want to take over the hegemony of Utherios? Well, because the hegemony of Utherios, each of the major towns, the 4 major towns within the hegemony, contain a dragon egg. And Jakar wants those eggs, but the problem is that they're going to hatch before that next planetary alignment, so that's why she needs to take over Utherios before then. Now, we've already started to create some bits and bobs around this thing, this campaign that we've been working on. As you can see, there's the map of Utherios that we've already started to work out various things. I've started to write up those cults for the religions. There's the original map of Uther's Watch, which we developed. There's our world map coming through. So this is what I really like about World Anvil, is that there's this ability to look at it and go, yes, there's so much to do. So let's just go in and have a look at this map of Utherios very, very quickly. This is a complete aside. It has nothing to do with actual campaign planning, but it does allow us to have a look at this blank page here. I don't know why it's not loading up. It's a very big map. Now, as you can see here, what I've done is I've already gone and I've marked out smaller towns, bigger towns, capitals, as a matter of fact, and then castles with a little bit of information on them. Now, this is what I particularly like, is that we'll be able to click on these and actually go into them once I have created the articles for each of the cities. So as the players are moving around the map, I can go, you want to go into Zolos? Absolutely fine. There's a description of Zolos coming up there, or at least there would be one if I had written it yet, but it gives me something to work with. Anyway, that's an aside. That's not what we're going to be looking at today. Today we're looking at how to plot out our entire campaign. And for that, I need to do this. I'm going to turn that off. Was that the right one? No, I think that was the wrong one. I need to turn that back on. I need to turn that one off and this one on. So there we go. Now we have sitting behind me this thing. And this is our entire campaign. Now, if you haven't watched previous videos on this, I am going to be walking through this so you can do the same thing. You can obviously do the same thing with me on this. You can download these templates from www.greatgamemaster.com, where you will find the template free of charge, so that you can basically print it out, jot it in, work it up, and use this as your lifesaver. This really is the entire plan of our campaign in a few sentences. That's all it is. So this takes out all of the panic, all of the nervousness of having to come up with your entire campaign plan before you start actually playing, because we're getting to that 3-month mark. It's March now. That means that we should be able to run our first game in a couple of sessions. We've got 1 or 2 things still to tweak, but after that we should be able to go. And this is what's going to allow us to do that. So it's broken into 4 categories: getting stuff, building stuff, testing stuff, and realizing the goal. Those are the 4 big blocks. Now, if you want to know more about these, because I'm not going to go into these in great detail, if you want to know more about these, head on over to our website, www.greatgamemaster.com, where you can find this book here, which I'll hold up for you. This is the book that I wrote, basically on how to do all of this. And the templates are in there, and they're unpacked in detail in there. Otherwise, you can watch the videos that I have done on these templates as well. So there's lots of options for you to go and find that. I'm not going to be talking about that in today's video. So we've got getting stuff, building stuff, testing stuff, and realizing the goal. Now I am looking, of course, I'm going to swing this way so I'm not so off screen. I am looking at those 4 different categories. Hopefully you can't see my mouse because that's how it works. But these are the 4 different stages, the 4 different steps that we're going to be going through. When we look at this idea, Jakar wants the hegemony of Aetherios before the next planetary alignment, but is having difficulty taking it over using vast large forces because the protectors of Aetherios are exceptionally powerful. How do we break that down? Well, with getting stuff. What does she need to get? And initially we went, well, maybe she needs to get maybe she needs to get onto the territory. Maybe she needs to get control over someone. Maybe she needs to get somewhere or something that she needs in order to make her move. Now, something that we can also do is we can refer back to our map that we created, our world map, and look at it from the perspective of, well, where is she based? Where is she coming from? And let me just open up that map very, very quickly for you so that you can have a look at that as well. There we go. I'm just going to leave it overlaid. Now, if we look here, I've got this first pin for Aetherios and Throselios, the 2 places where our main action is going to be happening. We worked out that Jakar was going to come from Dagonhell. That was going to be her place of origin, Dagonhell, and that she was going to cross the Kaldor Ocean, come in here through Masisio, take out Masisios first, use that as a launching platform to then drive into Defini, into Zolos, and to take over Gipthos to take over Aetherios in totality. Now, when we then look at that, we say, okay, well then, firstly, I would say that she needs to get Masisio. She needs to take over Masisios. It needs to be simply overrun by her Slard forces. So that gives us a good starting point. Once she's done that, she then needs to take over Defini, but if she doesn't take over Zolos and Pythos and Gipthos at the same time, they will unite against her, and that could potentially stop her. So she needs to take over more of these at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and now it's easy enough for us to go back to our template here, and hopefully I'm turning off the right one, and come in here and say, right, so step 1, and hopefully this will appear on the screen. Step 1 is to take over Masisios. So let's just go in here and say Masisios invasion. There is our first adventure template. Our first adventure, as a matter of fact. Masisios invasion. Then she needs to replace city leaders. Now that is Defini, Zolos, Pythios, I should say, and Gipthos. All right, so she needs to do that. Let's just knock this down a little bit so it fits onto our line. So it's 29. I'm going to make it 27. I am using Photoshop to do this, but it's just that I can show you my thought process. It's not going to be pretty, but it's functional. So Masisios invasion, Replace the city leaders, that's of those 4 different cities. Could they be 4 different adventures? No, because the heroes are not going to go through all 4 of them, and I wouldn't recommend that you do all 4 of them anyway, because it is pretty much repeat, 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 repeat. And once it's done in one city, we assume it's done in the others. Unless your players stop it in the first one, in which case then the other 3 might be required, but that's not something that we're worrying about just now. We're not going to have an anxiety attack because we're trying to figure out all the stuff beforehand. What we're going to do is we're just going to continue. So she's getting the invasion. She is replacing the city leaders. Assuming everything goes according to her plan, she then needs to do what? I think she then needs to find those eggs, but it's not going to be that simple. Remember, we always say, well, yes, she's replaced the city leaders, but now she needs to find the eggs. The eggs weren't just lying around somewhere on a table. They were somewhere else. Where are they? They're in each of the cities. We know that much. We've established that in our lore. But perhaps she needs to find an expert, somebody who knows where they are, a tracker or a guide. So I quite like that idea. So I think she's going to need to find the Dragon Meister. Meister, however you spell that, I don't know. The Dragon Meister of, let's say, let's think about this. I'm not sure. The Dragon Master of Colfos. No. Let's go from this map now. Let's go back. I'm just going back here so you can have a look at what I'm doing. So I've gone back to my major map territory. Let's say, so she's going to take over Zolos, she's going to take over Defini, she's going to take over Gypthos, possibly, and she's going to come down here and she's going to take over Pythios. So she needs to find the Dragonmeister of, let's choose a city, somewhere interesting, an interesting territory. It could be there. Oh, there we are. There's an interesting space, the Bay of Defini. Kiona is an interesting little island place. Otherwise, we've got down here Madassa Bay. What about Aramosi Kala? That could be interesting. Or Lavas. Or the Eye of Gyros. The Eye of Gyos. I think I prefer that one. The Dragon Master of Gyos. She needs to get the Dragon Master of Gyos. So there we go there. And then finally, she needs to actually get the dragon eggs. Great. So we have now completed her mission. She has got the dragon eggs. Now, how did I sort of come up with those 4 things? Well, the invasion of Massisios is effectively a discovery mission. The players, and this could change completely, but the players are going to discover the invasion. Whether they are involved in the invasion, whether they are trying to stop the invasion, whether they just happen to be innocent bystanders when the invasion happens, it doesn't really matter. Let me hide this. What are our players doing? They are discovering there's this invasion happening all the way from that evil continent far, far away, and that they are all under the leadership of this strange woman, this Jakar monster. Now, that's the discovery mission. Replacing the leaders of Defini, Zolos, Pythos, and Gypthos. That could very well be a thwarting mission. That is where they are trying to prevent the replacement from happening. They discover this plot somehow. We don't have to worry about it. Don't panic. We discover this plot that this is what is happening. They then need to go and prevent that. So the Slard doppelganger who has replaced the Lord of Defini, if the player characters can reveal that this is the case, then of course they have thwarted it. Get the Dragon Meister of Gyos. That is a collection mission. They are desperately, desperately trying to collect that Meister, the Dragon Meister of Gyros. They're trying to get there before she does. So they're trying to collect the Meister of Gyos. Get the dragon eggs. That is a delivery, in my opinion. The characters are going to get those eggs first and deliver them somewhere. So there's a race to get them. Once they've got them, then they're racing to deliver them somewhere safe so that Jakar can't find them. In other words, those are the 4 different types of adventures that I think make up a great campaign. Thwarting, discovering, delivering, and collecting. So we've got all 4 there, simple and easy. Relatively speaking, as far as I'm concerned, that's how we do it. So now we're going to start looking at building stuff. Assuming that she gets the dragon eggs. She wanted to use the dragon eggs for her own personal power, I recall. I think that's the idea that we went with in terms of her plans. I'm just busy looking here at my other screen in terms of the articles that we have written up. She was after this whole thing. Let me bring up this page here so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is all of the articles that we've created so far in terms of our campaign. We've got our campaign breakdown, which is our primary plot. There's some adventures that I've started to write on. Those are for my own personal game that I'm busy putting together. But here's the Lady Jakar character. So let's have a look and see what that was all about. She's a blunt force trauma nemesis, so we know we're going to encounter her in those first missions. We've got her speech patterns and things. I'm just reminding myself of all of her bits and bobs. We need to introduce these to our players during the first 4 missions, but also later on. I'm just looking for anything that gives us insight into this crazy creature, this world eater that she is. Slagash is attached to her spine and slowly sucks the life from her. However, if she consumes living flesh, it feeds off of that instead. In exchange, the slug enhances her strength and physical resistance. I like that. And Slagash is this creature here, which I haven't written up very much about yet, as you can see. So we have this woman, we have this crazy adventure that she is going to go on, however that might translate. So building stuff, I think the first thing that she's going to do is these dragon eggs, they need to be transported somewhere. So I think she needs to build a transport of eggs. Or for the eggs, I should say. Transport for the eggs. Now again, this is looking at it from the perspective of what type of mission could this be. This could very well be a thwarting mission where the players prevent the transport from being built. It could be a delivery where they are actually responsible for this transport, delivering the eggs that they don't even know about it. Maybe she's smuggling them out of the country and the players are hired to do this. It doesn't matter. We don't have to think about it at the moment. We just need to have a battle plan. So that's the transport of the eggs. It needs to be built. So let's just put in here, build the transport for the eggs. Then she needs to have a hatchery, as far as I'm concerned. She wants these things to evolve. So we have hatchery, right? There we go. Hatchery to be built. Or perhaps found, or let's say conquered. Conquered. No, I think just built or found. One of the two. And then we're going to build a hatchery. We transported the eggs to the hatchery. We're then going to what exactly? We're then going to empower the eggs. So she needs to infuse them with her magical power, which we know about already. Okay, great. Then we need to also, and I think this is important, obtain other eggs, slard, for use. So she might have a slard hatchery or something along those lines. This, although technically could be considered getting stuff, this is not difficult for her. This is for the players to discover that there are these slard egg hatcheries that have been built with these very strange empowerment devices on them. Why are we going to be doing that? Because she's going to be testing stuff. So what is she going to be testing? Oh, let's see. So she's going to test her egg enhancement magic. So she's going to try and empower the eggs. Remember, she's wanting to basically drain these eggs of all of their magical energy. She's going to release enhanced slod, because that's now the result of that egg enhancement program. And then finally, then we can say, okay, good. Then she enhances first dragon egg because she has 4, presumably. This is again according, if her plans go according to plan, and that the players have not influenced or done anything in that way. And then she's going to test the newborn dragon. So she's going to release the dragon to go out there and kill, maim, and destroy, and to grow older, so she can then feed upon it later to draw more power. Now we go into realizing the goal, and this is fairly stock standard kind of stuff. We need to tie up loose ends. So that's all the kind of other plots and things that are going on. That's her sort of wrapping up various bits and bobs. We then need to get to the showdown, which could be that she's now on top of a mountaintop where she's going to be consuming these dragons, because of course it's not just going to be in her living room. It will be something somewhere very, very, very difficult to get to. And then we have our climax showdown. Now that gives us very quickly 15 adventures for our campaign. And you go, well, is 15 enough? That doesn't really sound like a lot. Sure, but considering that all 15 are an adventure each, if each adventure takes 2 sessions, that's 30 sessions. So if you're playing throughout the course of a year and you're playing every week, you've almost got a year's long campaign. What's not included on this is character backgrounds. You have to explore your character backgrounds in your adventures, otherwise your players really don't need to create them. And since we believe that those are absolutely integral in telling a good story, you will sprinkle liberally between all of these character backgrounds. If you've got 5 characters, that's 5 adventures at the very least for each character. However, you do want your characters to grow and learn and change and discover more about themselves. So let's give them generously 2 adventures each. That's now 10 adventures, plus the 15 here. That's 25 adventures. That's 50 sessions. That's a year's worth of campaign already. And we still haven't added in the next type of adventure, which will happen. That's the emergent adventure, where the characters have decided to do something based on a clue or something that you dropped out that had absolutely no value, but they're now pursuing. So even if that's only 5 adventures, we're now sitting on 25 adventures. No, we were on 25, now we're on 30 adventures. Then there's the aha adventures. Now, aha adventures are basically, if the players aren't following what's happening, you need to bring them back onto track, and you use an aha adventure. What am I talking about? There are various videos on aha adventures, and basically bringing the players back on track in terms of where they should be. Tying in and up those loose ends. The aha adventures happen throughout, so that if the characters have missed an important clue, you give them an aha adventure to bring them back. So let's say that we need 5 of those. That's now 35 adventures, 70 sessions, so you're looking at a year and a half already, and it's only taken us 20 odd minutes to do that. That's not bad going in terms of designing your entire campaign. We haven't broken down any of this. I know you're screaming internally. You want to know exactly how many acts there are in the empowering of the egg, step 3 of building stuff. Don't stress, don't panic, don't worry. It's not something that we need to even look at to begin with. The only adventure we need to look at is the Massicios invasion, and we don't even need to look at it yet. We just need to know that it's there. It is something that we will be working on, something that we'll be doing, but not something we need to worry about just yet. We've still got a few things to go. We still have a session 0 to go through before we actually launch the campaign, so these might change as a result of that session 0. Not likely, but they might. And once we started, remember, no campaign survives its first contact with the players. The characters might arrive, the Massicios invasion starts, and they join Jakar's army. All of these things now need to be re-looked at in terms of, well, now what? The official opposition is now part of the invasion force. How do we change these things? Well, in this case, it doesn't actually change very much, but it might, depending on how your campaign operates. Anyway, we now have the full campaign in terms of our basic plan layout. We're going to be doing something else next week where we're starting to unpack those cultures that we were talking about very briefly in the first world creating map. We're going to really unpack those now that we've got the villa, that we know how they live, and there's some very good thoughts and suggestions and comments coming through, by the way, on those videos. I really do appreciate them. On the villa, someone said, well, if flight is a major component, surely the grand entranceway to the villa would be on the roof, allowing for individuals to show off their beasts of burden. I completely agree with that sentiment and with that thought, and so we will revisit that villa later on to see how we can incorporate the creatures of the air which will be flying around Utherios and the rest of the world of Gaia in our campaign setting. So look forward to that. That's next week. Until then, however, I wish you and yours the very happiest of campaign creation. Okay, so if under building stuff we have an adventure that the characters, the PCs, they have to like what Jakar is doing in order to then get the NPCs to subscribe to them being the heroes of the narrative. Is that right? I mean, is that sort of on the same page? I think so. And then everyone can just share the idea of the characters' plans. I think that's brilliant, and so much easier than having to think about the whole thing. It's brilliant. It's lovely.